I'm with my longtime dear friend Larry Hurto, who has written this here book about downtown Newton. It is Newton Main Street's Stories from Downtown, and it's very, very interesting. And Larry, I'll tell you what, you do a lot of trivia. And so I asked this question at the very start of our podcast. And it's kind of a hard question to answer, but when did downtown Newton get started?
The city of Newton is actually about 6 months older than the state of Iowa is. So Newton was born during territorial days, 1846. Remember, Iowa didn't become a state until December 28th, 1846. That's the day President Polk signed into law the bill that made Iowa the 29th state in the Union. But Newton and Jasper County are actually about 6 months older than that.
Wasn't Newton and Jasper County named after some Civil War guys?
No, Revolutionary War.
Is that right?
Soldiers.
Okay.
Yes. A couple of sergeants, non-commissioned officers that served under General Francis Marion, the Swamp Fox. Do you remember when we were kids on Walt Disney? They had a series about General Marion, the Swamp Fox.
I don't remember that. Enlighten me.
Of all people, Leslie Nielsen.
Oh, sure, I remember him. Yeah.
And
Naked Gun and all that. Yeah.
He made quite a career for himself later as a comedian, but he was a dramatic actor. And he was quite heroic in this role as General Marion. Remember, they called him the Swamp Fox because he was fighting Colonel Tarleton and the British out of the swamplands in the Carolinas.
Okay.
And why these pioneers were so dear to the people of Iowa to give names of Iowa place names to these guys who never ever set foot as far west as Iowa.
It just seems unusual.
Yeah.
Okay, so Larry, about your book, we're going to hold it up again here so everybody can see it. We don't have as much time with this that we did on the podcast. Whip some facts on us about downtown Newton, just very random.
Well, we were agriculturally based from the get-go up until, I'd say, about the year 1890. We were agriculturally based. The economy was totally based on agriculture, but it was about 1890 that industry began to come in. Remember F.L. Maytag with his partners, the Bergman brothers and George W. Parsons, established something called the Parsons Band Cutter and Self-Feeder Company. And that actually was the precursor to the Maytag Company. In 1907, they made their first washing machine. They called it the Pastime. And it was so successful that Mr. Maytag realized, this is where we should be concentrating our efforts. So he formed the Maytag Company in 1909, two years later, and then expressly to make washing machines.
Okay, but there were 7 washing machine companies in Newton at one time. Did they rip off F.L. Maytag at that point, or did they create their own washing machine?
Actually, Jamie, Ken Barthelman, the late director of the Jasper County Historical Museum, and I were able to identify at least a dozen
that many
individuals and other companies that were at least experimenting with washing machine equipment. Some of them did no more. There was a fellow named Westbrook, and whether he ever did anything more than just build a prototype, we don't know, because we've never seen a Westbrook washer. But there was a company called the Newton Disc Plow Company, and they made a machine that they called the New Disco. There you go. Never seen one of those either. But
were they run by the Bee Gees?
Yeah. Well, they created the theme song for the product.
But they didn't stay alive or anything like
that.
No.
Okay, all right. You're thinking of Travolta.
Oh, yeah.
But But no, it was obviously quite an industry for us. Besides Maytag, the other big three companies were the Automatic, the 1 Minute, and the Woodrow companies.
You bet.
And Woodrow eventually moved on to Pella.
Yeah.
But yeah, very interesting history that way.
Okay. So we only have a little time left here, Larry. I'm sorry to say that. But this book, it has all kinds of facts about downtown Newton. You can see it's got the old Jasper County Savings Bank downtown, and it also has various different pictures. It has all kinds of great pictures in it here. It's fantastic. How can people get a copy of this book?
Well, a couple of ways, Jamie. They can be readily purchased at Forbes Office Solutions on the northeast corner of the square. The cost is $20. This is a fundraising project for the Newton Main Street organization. Or if they get a hold of Erin Yeager, who is the executive director of Newton Main Street, she can give you more details. I'm happy to say that the response to the book has really been terrific so far, and I'm told that more than half of the printing run has been sold already. So we'd encourage your listeners to check it out as soon as possible and secure a copy. I think you'll enjoy the stories.
Right. And the money that this goes for with the book is for historical preservation in downtown Newton, right?
It is in part, and the Main Street organization has an historic preservation component. And as you know, there have been some projects that have spoken directly to that. You'd mentioned in our interview the old Montgomery Ward store that was built in 1929, one of Newton's early department stores, is being renovated by a Newton couple.
Right.
And but also, it's an economic development initiative.
You bet.
And so we do what we can to help those folks who are appealing to companies and businesses to come to Newton and fill some of the empty storefronts that we have.
Check out the book. Either go to Forbes Office Equipment and get the book, or get a hold of Erin Yeager at Newton Main Street. You can Google the phone number. I'm sure she'll be glad to help you out. They're asking for a $20 donation, and again, it goes, as Larry said, a component to historical preservation. Larry, always a pleasure. Thanks for chatting with us today.
Pleased to be with you always, Jamie.
All right.
To be out and about with Jamie Ground.
LRH and JPG together again. Thanks for joining us, and if you want to know more about this, check out the podcast. It has a lot of detail in it.
Please do.